Maybe it's about not being at the game. Maybe that makes you more harsh somehow. I don't know why it would. And to be honest, of course, I've been at every competitive home game this season and every home game last season. And people that are at the game seem pretty harsh as well in their judgment of any Rangers slip up. But I heard the boos the other night round about me just at the final whistle, but they seemed to end pretty abruptly, as if everybody who was trying to boo suddenly realised it wasn't really appropriate. But it sounded much worse when I got home and I heard it back again on TNT, and the commentator mentioned it as the final whistle went. I felt it was a bit harsh, but Ali McCoist, we go to him on TNT. I'm watching this back after I've got back for the game. I recorded the live coverage, and Emma Dodds she's in the studio with Johan Mjauby and Alan Hutton, and she's talking to Ali, who's sitting in a kind of Starship Enterprise, Bridge of the Starship Enterprise type scenario, with all the screens round about him on the gantry that is attached to the Archibald Leach lattice work on Archie's absolute gem of a main stand. And behind Ali is the goal, the Brimlin Road goal, just over his shoulder as he's talking to camera. And I think the nets are getting hauled up as the staff start to put Ibrox away for the night. And I'm thinking, that's the very goal. That's the goal into which I think he had his worst misses in the game against CSKA Moscow in 1993, which I wasn't at. I was at the Leeds game, I was at the Marseille game that season, but I didn't get to the Bruges game or the CSKA Moscow game at Ibrox. I've explained the reasons for that extensively, even this season. The excuse being the two times we played Bruges already this season. But I wasn't at that game, but I was watching it at home, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter that we didn't beat CSKA Moscow that night. We drew 0-0. We missed a wheen of chances throughout the game, but because Marseille had won in the Jan Bredel against Club Bruges at the same time, it meant that our result was irrelevant. There was no way we could go through to the final as long as Marseille won their game. But obviously it was just killing me that I would be, 23 at the time, the chance to see Rangers get to the Champions League final, the first Champions League final, but it's essentially the European Cup final. And even though 23 is pretty young, it was that whole thing of my whole life has been dominated by the fact Celtic have won the European Cup and we haven't. It was also being dominated by the fact that Celtic had won 9 in a row and we hadn't, and we're in the process of eliminating that as a purely Celtic record. But I was just ready. And my dad had to have a word with me. My dad's he's not a Rangers supporter as such, a sympathiser. But I'm sitting there just... great news at the end of that game as Ali McCoist is walking around the park crying because we haven't got to the final. Absolutely gutted, and it's been a magnificent run that season. On our way to the treble, domestic treble, a fantastic season for Rangers. And great news, McCoist, great news. I remember during the game, I don't know what my point is. My dad going, you've been a bit harsh on McCoist, did you know? And I was just like, I just don't care. Did he score? And it wouldn't have made any difference anyway. So I get it. I get that thing of being angry at the team, maybe being a bit overly critical of the team at times. And I don't want anybody thinking I was in a bad mood about the other night. I'm going to disapprove seriously of the booing in that game, and I'm going to explain why, and it's going to involve a lot of swearing. A lot of that is because I'm in the kitchen this time, just a wee change of scene, because a lot of people complaining the other night at the post-match reaction pod that the wee sweepy man didn't make an appearance. He actually did. He was right in front of me, but I was mid-flow, just getting my groove on. Another fantastic post-match reaction pod. Thanks for patronising it, folks. It's really, really charitable of you, but he was actually parked right in front of me. Just for some reason, the brushes were lifted. He wasn't sweeping up. Was it something to do with the wind? Emma Dodds saying to Ali, as she's talking to him from the studio on Thursday night after the game, is it mental? Talking about the equaliser we'd conceded was the players' mentality, something that Russell Martin had alluded to after a 2-1 loss and a couple of cripplingly bad concessions in Graz earlier on in the Europa League group stage, and I was waiting for Ali to go, damn right, it was mental. I've never seen us conceding a goal. I love Emma Dodds. I think she's absolutely brilliant. I wish she would adopt me, even though I'm about 40 years older than her. I'll go and live with her and her wife, and just they can tell me, you going to the football now, Ali? I'm Emma. I'm going to go to the football. You going to get a pie? I'm going to get a pie. I don't know. She's absolutely brilliant. But Ali was saying, it was 1 point, it should have been 3. It was 1 point, it was a good draw. You maybe have taken it at the beginning of the game, but it should have been 3 points. Rangers 1-0 up against 10 men, and I get it, but the reaction, booing, a lot of the patter. I've been reading a lot of the stuff coming from the media about that game, about the Rangers mucked up again. This isn't helping. That isn't helping, and I don't think it's true either. I don't want anybody thinking I'm not in a bad mood. As I say, Wee Sweepy Man didn't make an appearance the other night on the podcast, but one of the other things that I talk about all the time in my pods is my rotisserie chicken that I have on a Saturday night. Well, it's in the oven. That's the hum you can maybe hear in the background. You were denied the Sweepy Man on Thursday night. Have the hum of the oven as it's making my chicken. This is it's legendary stuff. Legendary stuff. Sorry, folks. I was at a walk on Friday, quite early. All stuff going on in the house I'll not bore you with, but I was having to take the car and drop my missus off at her work, the crack of dawn, and I'm then going doing. I ended up I had to get my walk in early in the morning as well because I'm just so fat. I need a walk, or else I'm going to have a massive heart attack, especially the way Rangers are playing just now. So I was doing the famous Leicester Avenue, which was a lucky avenue for me on Monday when, as I was walking down there, Thelwell and Stewart were getting sacked. But this time, I just get down to the bottom of the avenue, and it's next to the playing fields, and there's a big hedge to protect the posh Wayne's playing fields from the realities of Great Western Road and the Marks and Spencers we kind of outlet and the BP garage just across the road. The dual carriageway in Great Western Road. So I'm walking down, you can't see if anybody's coming along. I was going to turn right onto the pavement and just walk along Great Western Road, off Leicester Avenue, and just at that, a boy comes round the corner at the same time. I say boy, he must have been, he's at least mid-40s, maybe closer to my age. And he wasn't looking, he can't see me either, because but he comes round, and I'm that way. I've just got to keep moving because I'm so fat, and I'm so tired because, of course, it was the game on Thursday night, so I'm absolutely buzzing. Win, lose or draw, European games, midweek games, watching Rangers, just so into it. You know what it's like. You can't get to sleep till 3, 4 in the morning. So I'm a bit tired. Been up earlier than usual as well, and I'm having to just get the walk in so I can go on with my day. But this guy just comes in the corner, almost walks into me because he's on his phone. I said, look, 40. It's like, Wayne's on their mobile phones. No, it's fucking pensioners and that, and folk the same age as me, a bit younger. I'd say maybe like mid-40s, the fella. And he's got a big guy. He's got a gilet on with a t-shirt underneath, absolutely freezing. And he's got a Peaky Blinders bonnet, and he's got 2 wee dogs. One's a kind of miniature poodle, and the other one's like a Westie or something. Just not what you would classify as macho dogs or whatever like that. But he's got, and that's, I've learnt my lesson. I remember the story about Norman Mailer used to walk his wife's false eyes poodles, proper poodles, down to the docks, and that, so he could get a fight with guys because he'd a lot of stuff to prove to himself. Norman Mailer in between writing novels, so judging. No, but just the fact the guy was going to walk right into me, so I just kind of juked to the left and off the pavement and back on. He was like, "Oh, sorry, mate." I said, "No worries, mate." And then he carried, and I just kind of went round the corner, so I couldn't see him, and I just heard, what? I couldn't quite make out what he was saying, but it had that tone, the intonation of somebody who was maybe asking directions, and I detected his accent was kind of Southeast England, but that's, round about where I stay, it's all different accents. That's no anything necessarily strange. Plus, walking dogs makes you think the guy stays locally, but maybe he's wanting directions, and so I kind of check back. Sorry, mate, he's like, "Is that Bayern Munich?" I'm like, "What? Bayern Munich?" And I forgot I was actually wearing this hat I'm going to hold up to the screen just now. An old Bayern Munich hat, a bonnet that I've got. That I wear when I'm going for a kind of sweaty first thing in the morning walk. I keep the good ones for the fitber. Finley's Harland and Wolf Welders bonnet is top of the list just now. That's a special bonnet, and it's much warmer than any other bonnet. It's absolute quality, Finley. But it's Bayern Munich. I'm thinking, I'm kind of half awake. I've had a coffee, but no food, so it creates a weird buzz on top of the fact that you're absolutely knackered and freezing. And I'm like, but I got it in the Olympic Stadium but I thought the guy must be interested in football. He must be and I love my foreign football as well, so I need to be nice. And he's like, "No, it's just a Maguna." And then he and I'm like, I was realising at the same time, no, you didn't get this one at Olympic Stadium. You went to Olympic Stadium, saw Bayern at Olympic Stadium 24 years ago, Alec. Did buy a hat that day because it was absolutely freezing. It was like March. This is in Bavaria. and the Olympic Stadium was much more exposed to the elements. Got a bonnet, absolute belter. Wore that into the ground as well. It became my kind of, I used to go jogging in the days, so I would wear it jogging in the winter. I ran it into the ground, and it was an actual Bayern fan who worked in Glasgow for a few years, about a decade later. He bought me this one. When he went back, I was complaining about lost my old Bayern bonnet, and he goes over to watch Bayern back to his homeland, and then he comes but sees mum and dad, and he buys me a hat, brings it back, absolutely brilliant, so I'm still wearing it. And I was like, oh no, he got that at the Allianz Arena, that's not the one I had, that was years ago, you're getting confused. And he'd kind of walked out, and just suddenly, I'm thinking, I'm a gooner. Oh, because they beat Bayern 3-1 the other night. So basically, he's walking down the road, he can't fucking walk where he's gone, but he's spotted the fact that I've got a wee, the wee Bayern Munich thing, and he's, I've got to say something there because the Arsenal beat them and all that. I mean, I don't walk around looking for folk with any kind of thought. Rangers struggling this season, of course, to find anybody. I'm sure there's probably Celtic fans going to be wearing Panathinaikos gear, isn't there? We picked them out of Europe straight away. I mean, Rangers fans wearing Victoria Pilsenia gear because it's red, white and blue. Actually, I'm a Ranger, I'm a teddy bear, and we beat you if you're wearing that kind of gear. I haven't spotted him to wearing that, but I'm trying to find an equivalent as to why it was annoying the other way. And you're walking along, it's because I was tired, because I was raging for the night before the concession of the 2 points. But I was doing that. I'd done that thing where I was trying to justify it, be reasonable, to rationalise it, and I think it was a good thing that we got a point off Braga. It's still an achievement to get us off the board, but you can't hide the instinctive football hatred of chucking away 3 points, or chucking away 2 of the 3 points you looked like you were going to win when you won nothing up against 10 men with half an hour to go. I just thinking, you start thinking all the things you should have said. I couldn't chase him back, because then it's like, I like to avoid trouble. I mean, I do like to avoid trouble. And plus, the guy's just an idiot, obviously. One of these, I hate fit by tourists. Folk do, my team won. And it's not me, he's in his 40s, whatever. Plus, he's probably got a Stanley knife on him or something, being from London, Arsenal. Oh, that's the bit. It's just that kind of Domino's, Budweiser beer. You don't feel it's very real. You've got a patronising attitude towards these guys. He might have been going to Highbury and all that back in the 70s and stuff, and when Arsenal were absolutely garbage. I don't know. But we beat Bayern Munich, and I just, fuck off, I thought, you'd be on a Peaky Blinders hat. I thought it might be Birmingham City. Didn't they? Remember they won the League Cup? Who was it they beat in the final? Barry's rubbing the guys. He definitely scored the own goal that won the final. Barry Ferguson. That's who I support. Rangers. Just you think on the things you could have said, but I didn't. I don't want anybody to think, how you doing, folks? This is your Fatec. We've got Falkirk at Ibrox tomorrow, and they basically got Russell Martin sacked. So we all hate them. We're all going to be right behind the boys tomorrow to avenge Russell. And yeah, we at least were conceding from opposition throw-ins in the Europa League now, as opposed to our own throw-ins. So it's definitely a step change in the right direction. Falkirk preview pod and Braga quick debrief pod coming to you in association with Gersnet. Check out Gersnet Friday night's preview pod. It was Craig, Jamie and Ross. So give that a watch if you will, folks. And I'm also sponsored by wearing foreign football stuff, because I don't like to wear Ranger stuff walking about the street. I see somebody wearing a Celtic top, I think, dick. Right? I unless it's, it's you get that middle class kind of pretentiously understanding thing, if it's a bit of a rougher area or something, that's where these people are from. That's the thing that's keeping them going in life. It's the boys wearing a Celtic top and all that, and that sustains him. So it's the working classes. Don't get divided. And if I'm walking about here, kind of a West End adjacent, and if it's a grown man, it's obviously get me money, and he's walking about wearing like a Celtic, I'm a wee Celtic tracksuit, a wee Celtic, and I'm like, fuck you, idiot. So I don't want people, obviously Celtic people would think that of me. If I'm walking, or Partick Thistle fans or the other kind of folk you're going to bang into around about here, it's like the Fives, used to play Fives. I never wore a Rangers kit or anything like that. Apart from anything else, I'd be an absolute disgrace to those colours. So I wouldn't sponsored by that. It's like I used to have this bonnet. It was Atletico Madrid. I got it when I went to see them at the Manzanares, 2015, Atletico Madrid against Real Sociedad. And it's the black bonnet, a bit like the Bayern Munich one that I've got there, but it was just before they changed their logo. You know, a great logo, a crest, with the bear and the tree, but it was properly colourful, the proper old logo, and it broke the hearts of the Atletico Madrid fans when they tried to make it all kind of just modern, basically, and took the life out of it. So just a black bonnet and this massive patch, Atletico Madrid patch. Like wee Wayne's and that would walk past me and go, Atletico, because at this point in time they're winning La Liga, they're getting to the Champions League final and all that. It was quite good. Folk would stop and go, oh, look at that. And I've got the Bayern Munich one, and let's be honest, Celtic fans aren't going to wear Atletico de Madrid, not just because of the '74 European Cup semi-final and what happened when the Celtic had to play behind closed. That was after the Rapid Vienna game, wasn't it? That 84, 85 Cup Winners' Cup. Atletico Madrid put them out of that. They've played them since in Europe a couple of times, and bad things happened to them. Bayern Munich as well, but it's not just that. It's red, white, and blue in it. Both the the insignia, the pattern on both the colouring of both those badges is very red, white, and blue. Just like I used to go to the Fives, I would wear an Olympiacos top and just a pair of royal blue shorts and Atletico de Madrid socks. You know, the white, the red with the white fold. I didn't wear actual Ranger stuff, but I wore with red, white, and blue stuff. And that's equally annoying to Celtic fans in the same way if I see somebody wearing like Boston Celtics or Notre Dame stuff. I'm like, oh, it's not even association football. The memorabilia or whatever that they're wearing, but still they're getting the message across who they support. So that's yes. Said my name's Alec Anderson. Seasons change. And I've tried hard just to soften you. Well, seasons change, but I've grown tired trying to change for you. 'Cause I've been waiting on you. I've been waiting on you. 'Cause I've been waiting on you. Ooh, I've been waiting on you. I'm having to read that off the laptop there, as you probably noticed. It's not a song I know very well because I only heard it for the first time last night, Friday night. I'm sitting in the house, sick of Top of the Pops. You chill out Friday night, watch a bit of music. It's great programming having the old episodes of Top of the Pops on at that time, especially for old folk like myself, maybe not in the mood to go out, or not having the money to go out or whatever, but it's just to kind of chill out. And you can guess what year it was and all that kind of stuff. Oh, remember that. But I just sometimes you're just thinking Jimmy Savile. You're thinking all the Dave Lee Travis, all the dodgy stuff that was going on. It kind of pits you off. I thought, what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch Glastonbury. I've not got through all the highlights of Glastonbury. I like to watch the Glastonbury kind of highlights just because it's one band after another, one act after another. There's about 4 on BBC iPlayer, 4 kind of highlights, tapes, an hour long or something. And it's for an old guy like myself, that way I can sit and just go, oh, modern music's crap, and then try and work out what the modern bands are a derivative of. I'm assuming they're for Swansea. There's a lot of Welsh flags, and one of the guys, I think the guitarist, was wearing an old Swansea City top. They're called Turnstile. I'm sure it was Turnstile, maybe it's the Turnstiles. Sorry, you need to old man stuff here. But I was like, that's like early Cure and Rage Against the Machine, and there's somebody else in there as well. I can't quite work out who it is. It might be the House Martins. I'm not sure, but maybe watch it again to try and find out. And you just, it's not about trying to keep, up to date on that, because I've forgotten half the names of the acts afterwards. But it's just, you don't want to completely die. But it turns out half the acts anyway at Glastonbury were, around when I was in my 20s. So still on the go. So it's quite interesting. But it was this band, come on, synth pop. Turns out they're called Future Islands. I'd never heard of them. And there's this song, the only song, it's the highlights, it's just one song per band. And what was it called? Seasons. And I'm thinking, this guy can't sing. The lead singer just was quite an interesting stage act, but I'm thinking, this boy can't, his voice is actually good. I can't make out what he's saying. I thought there was something wrong with him. And I thought there must have been something wrong with him. And I'm seeing the crowd are right up for it. They're going crazy. And they've got a kind of charitable look in their face when it's not that he couldn't hit the notes. He wasn't even trying to hit the note. It was impossible. You could barely hear him, articulating the actual words to the song. And at times he was doing a kind of death metal roar and all that. I think, maybe I'm not getting this, but he kind of. And so I looked him up because I'm sitting on a laptop as well. I'm sitting, looked it up, and it turns out, you probably know this. I don't know if this is when they came to fame, but this song, Seasons Waiting on You, brackets Waiting on You, they kind of shot to fame, or that song shot to fame when they did it on Letterman, and it's on YouTube. You should watch this. And they also did it on Jules Holland, and it's the lead singer. What's the guy? I've written this down. Samuel T. Herring, who also goes by the stage name. Is it Hemlock Ernst as well? Sounds very particular. But he does rapping as well, and I saw of it because the minute I looked that up on YouTube to watch these two performances, and they're worth watching. The algorithm starts sending me stuff, and there's an interview with him where he's talking about how he can't, basically saying, I can't sing, but I'd started getting into music at high school. I'm not into guitar stuff. My mate's not, so it's actually a synth pop band, and I was starting to, I just basically sang because they couldn't get anybody else to sing. He's more of a performer. I think he's into acting now as well. He's made a few TV appearances as an actor. So this was his whole thing. It was, I've been waiting on you. But he's dancing. Do you know his dance moves, which was really, really unique, quite individual, quite particular. It's one of those, it's skiing. He's on a skiing machine. He's going from side to side. And it's, I've been waiting on you, and he'll just throw his fists about when it goes into the chorus. A bit like when Danny Röhl went up to the Rangers support at Dens Park and just basically it got too much from it. It was too good. He wanted to celebrate. And he's chucking his fist. This boy does this. Samuel T. Herring does this on the stage all the time. This is really that's what shot him to fame. And David Letterman gets the name of the song rang when he presents it, and when he says that was Future Islands with whatever. He gets the song rang both times, but he's like, this guy's like, oh my God, give me more of that. Give me this. This guy's amazing. Oh, what a great band. And that shot them to real fame, and that's probably helped them with their career. But I think with Rangers, it's more a case of, on Thursday night, the folk booing Rangers, it got to me. It did get to me, and it's getting to me more and more as I think about it. Why? You're not like me, sitting not understanding what's going on with this band of ours. We knew before Rangers took the pitch the other night, it's all we've been talking about all season is how shite our squad is, how bad we are. I know it wasn't everybody that booed, and people have got a right to boo and all that. The vast majority of the crowd just kind of got up and went home in a way that was really, that was perfect. You don't want to praise the fact we've just chucked a lead against 10 men, but at the same time, we're not going to slaughter the team because we know that the bass player's injured. We know the keyboardist has just died. We know our lead singer can't sing. We haven't scored a goal. None of our strikers have scored for the last, I think that's maybe 6 games. With Falkirk tomorrow, it'll be 6 games without any of our strikers. Danilo at Easter Road's the last striker to score for Rangers when we won 1-0 at Easter Road. I can think of 5 games at least we've played since then. So we know how bad they are. That's why those guys on Monday were sacked by Rangers, because they're responsible for that squad. And the other guy who's responsible for it was sacked at the beginning of October, nearly 2 months ago. We get rid of them, and it's going to be January before we can get MD in. And some of the guys who've already been bad enough, John Suter, Derek Cornelius, Mikey Moore, getting a bit better, they're injured. They can't play. We knew how bad the band was before it took to the stage. So we should be happy that Danny Röhl is getting a tune out of them. I'm seeing people starting to question Danny Röhl's substitutions during the game. I was thinking, why is Connor Barron going off? Maybe he's tired, maybe he's whatever. Because Connor Barron's been having a great game. He was probably our man of the match against Braga, but off he goes for whatever reason it was, and it's starting to creep in, this thing of just, I'm not getting what I want. So I don't know if it's the fact that the Europa League group, people don't realise the size of it. You're used to dealing with the SPFL Premiership, and the SPFL Premiership is the biggest of all the leagues in Scotland. It's only got 12 teams in it. So if somebody's bottom of the SPFL Premiership and they're playing somebody who's 5th, Well, there's only 7 places, 6 places between them, whatever, 7 places inclusive. This is 4 times the Europa League group. It doesn't work like an actual league because of the Swiss system, but you're not playing everybody in the group. But it's 4 times the size of 3 times the size of the SPFL Premiership. It's got 36 teams in it. So we go into that game and Braga are 5th and we are bottom. That doesn't mean we're 12th. It means we're 36th. Braga are 5th. They're 31 places better than us going into that game. It's a miracle that we were winning 1-0 against. Sorry, I'm not having a go. I'm just trying. I keep waiting on you. The snagging items from the last pod. I said that we're 4th from bottom. We are 4th from bottom of the UEFA Europa League. After the reaction pod on Thursday night, I said we were 5th from bottom. Getting ahead of myself, but Utrecht, who are just ahead of us in a few goals, just goal difference, so there's a chance. The synchronicity of the podcast, there was none whatsoever. It just went straight away. I hadn't deleted my ticket, still on the phone I'm recording it on, and I forgot to delete the previous 2 videos, so there was no the memory. It makes it a lot worse. There will be bad synchronicity with most of my pods, but it's not as bad. It got to the point, I think it ended up with something like an 8-second delay by the end of the podcast from the words hitting your ears and my mouth catching up with them towards the end. It was actually got quite funny, so apologies for that. It will not be that bad. Again, the synchronicity. Again, I forgot to mention 2 great Jack Butland saves in the first half that kept it at 0-0 and allowed us to go in and take the lead before the end of half time. I think it's because I slagged Jack Butland so harshly last season that I'm embarrassed now every time. The save he had against Livingston last weekend, proper save. That was Chris Wood stuff, not having that much to do and coming out with a great save right at the end after Tav got kind of pushed over, I think. But anyway, seen as being a mistake from Tav, but he saved us the 3 points with a great save. So sorry about that. Jack Butland, Danny Röhl, I think he's like a Victorian kind of physician who's running a current, current through a cadaver. We should all be chapping. You know that thing they chap their the kind of pew type desks, or the gentlemen in the old Victorian lecture halls in the circle. You've seen it in all the kind of period dramas when there's somebody, a fancy kind of biology genius is giving some sort of lecture. It's the fact that he's managed to get any kind of tune out of this team at all is absolutely phenomenal. And TNT's interviewed, his post-match presser, he was very defensive, saying that it was absolutely 100%, it was progress. He's seen the team getting better. It's our first point. We didn't get any points for the previous 4 games in this group stage. We have lost our previous 7 games. To get a point, it's I just feel as if it's no worth it doesn't. It wasn't a game to be cheered. One might cheer the team off the park at the end, but to boo it, I just feel as if it's 100%. It feels like progress, he said to Matt Smith of TNT in his post-match interview on the telly. I saw for 60 minutes a team who was really competitive with a team who got 9 points from 4 games. They won 3 of the 4 games, Braga, coming into this. They lost their last game at home to Genk, and we know Genk are a bad team. But they lost 4-3. They still managed to score 3 goals within the process of losing that game. They won at Parkhead, whatever you want that to mean as well. But the wind, of course, isn't an excuse for the goal that we lost, but he was going to have to use it. He mentions this, Nasser Giga, for the equaliser. The ball gets caught, which is very, very windy. It was really windy conditions, that has to be said, but we know that's not really an excuse for Nasser Giga. He's got to get his feet right, but we've got no other options. Inciala's coming back. John Sterling, we're hoping he's going to come back tomorrow. But he can't throw this guy to the dogs, throw this guy to the wolves. Nasser Giga, he's got to try and get his confidence back up, because we're going to need, it's all hands to the pump. In the process, mistakes happen. That was his beautiful quote. In the process of getting this team from, we're throwing our shies straight to the feet of Sturm Graz. And was it our first game in the group stage? And now at least it's Braga that are taking advantage of the shies. I said 500,000 views on it. I think it might be now on the public. If you look at my, sorry, it's me. I get information because if you've got your own YouTube channel, and everybody has these days, you you go into the kind of wee bit with all the stats and all that. It's all graphs and stuff. It's all beyond me. But in there, it seems to be ahead of the schedule. It's telling you what kind of views how many views you're going to get or you've got, but it seems to ring them up quicker in the information, the bit that's private to you. In public, it was, I think this morning I checked, it was still 499,886 or something. So if 100 people watched, 114 people watched this pod tonight, I wouldn't lie to you about something that I knew could be checked in public. And so sorry about that. I said, but it is actually it's well over 500,000 views, and thanks to everybody who's contributed to that. I'm aware of that. I'm no slagging news. Look at the way that guy Bright Ari Imbi, the player for Braga, at the end of the game, the way he comes over to Daniel, he born in Cameroon, grew up in England and in Germany, played for England under 15s, and he's playing for the Germany underage teams all the way up now. He worked with Danny Röhl. It was in the cusp of the Bayern first team when Danny Röhl was in. You can see the guy's like delighted to see him, because Danny Röhl's a dude, and people know this. We need to stick by him. The red cards. Okay, that's 18:41. Now my chicken's going to be ready at 4 minutes past 7. So that's going to be, I think, 18:44. I'm going to go and stick the tin foil on it. So but if I shoot off, I'm still going to talk to you. You're not going to wait that easy, but you'll know what's happening. So the red cards, I've had the heat stuck in me in real life. I've stuck the heat on folk in real life. That wasn't a headbutt that's going to hurt anybody. What happened to Nico Raskin? We don't want Rangers players doing that. And I know there's a kind of body of opinion out there. I didn't see what happened at the time. I was following the ball. I think most people were, but I'll get back and I saw what happened on the television. The number 10, the Uruguayan Zalazar for Braga, has been a nasty get. But I think Nico Raskin's been just as nasty. He's gone in, he's went right in there, put the face right up to him and all that. And maybe something's happened. Maybe Zalazar did something to him that caused Nico Raskin to do that, to go in there with the face up. But I find that the thing I find most loathsome with sportsmanship, quote unquote, is that players touching other players in a way that can't be construed in any way as violence. It's threatening, but it's disgusting. Like just touching you. Oh, what's up? A lot of foreign players will do that kind of stuff. Oh, just like pat your hair or pat your cheek or something. Oh, you would just want to deck that guy. Or maybe you're just glad that he's no decking you and he just wants to touch you. That's absolutely fine. But I think Nico Raskin, it's just as bad to me, getting right into your face, right into the guy's face, but because he nods forwards. And I think he is, I think he's trying to, intent doesn't really count, but I think he is trying to connect slightly, and he definitely does lose it, Zalazar. The guilt's written all over his face. And I know there's a body of opinion amongst Rangers supporters as well, saying, well, that's what they get up to. That's, we've got to be more streetwise. We've got to... but what are you all about as a club? There's certain stuff you don't want your players to be doing, and I think it might actually have affected us. I think if you go against your character as a club, that's something we don't want to do. Remember Kyle Lafferty with, oh my God, what's the guy who played for Celtic in Scotland and Aberdeen, Charlie Mulgrew. I was at that game as well. It was embarrassing. It was very much embarrassing, and Rangers certainly frowned upon it. At that point in time, I think we still should. But I suppose if he makes contact, and this is why we've got a problem with the Austin Trusty incident in the League Cup final. He's kicked Jack Butland in the head, I would say more forcibly than the headbutt that was delivered towards Nico Raskin's nose the other night. If you get caught just in the nose by a forehead, though, and the guy had big hair. You don't know what product he's got in that hair. It could be really quite sticky. Maybe did catch him when it was sore, I don't know, but didn't look like it was at all. And there's this whole kind of fine line between violent behaviour but actually being violent. Anyway, I'm completely lost as to where that all stands now in terms of the referees judging it. But that kind of behaviour, if I see a Rangers player raising his hands or whatever to somebody, I'm like, oh, what are you doing? That's you're putting us in the shit here. You're going to get yourself sent off. That's no use to us. So that's why I was a bit. I feel as if I think with the minute Braga went down to 10 men, we had put so much into the game at that point. Maybe it wasn't visible on the television, but we'd kept them in their own half for most of the game, which was quite a feat. And just put a lot of energy into that game. And I think it's maybe been a psychological thing of, all right, they're down to 10 men, it's not going to be so bad now, and they're taking their feet off the gas a bit, Rangers. Or it may have been one of those moments where you're just embarrassed at your own behaviour and you're thinking, that wasn't good, and it's just creates a wee kind of current of uncertainty. It definitely made Braga feel more relaxed because they were ratty. That's why the guy did what he did and gets himself sent off. They were losing it. They couldn't handle the fact that Rangers weren't letting them play, and that's why I think Danny Röhl did so well in the game. And after they go down to 10 men, well, that's it. The cover-up, the fix is in, it's official. Now they feel as if the pressure's off them because they'll get sympathy from their own fans. They're down to 10 men, and that's when they started playing as well. So it's a confluence of two really bad reactions to the red cards. Diamandi's red cards, same argument. I think he's going to... The same argument I was just talking about there, you would feel that one of your own players doing something slightly violent, even if it doesn't actually have any kind of material... There's no pain really being inflicted on the player that he's aiming it at, but making a motion or a violent nature towards a player is just... I feel it's just kind of stupid. Right, what I'll do is I'll actually try and pause this while I go and get my tin foil on. So let's see if by the magic of television... Did that work? Oh, it's worked. Brilliant. You know, that chicken, by the way, is looking absolutely fantastic. That's one guaranteed result this weekend. But I felt as if, even though Gomez, who looked like Deco, didn't he? The number 2 who went down, he was the guy who come on the park trying to make it, just come off. Salazar's going to come off, referee. We're going to sub him off. You don't have to send him off. Kind of like Junior style. He's obviously really canny, quite a shifty character, but streetwise, you know. More streetwise than Dio anyway. He looked like Deco, and I'm thinking, Deco, I know he was actually Brazilian Deco, but he became a Portuguese citizen his time at Porto, but I thought maybe he's related or something like that. He's Spanish, looked him up, he's Spanish, he's only 25 as well. But he knows what he's looking for. He knows, and he knows Dio probably is prone to putting his hands about. And it's one of these things with Diomande, he's on the cusp, it's part of his job as being a kind of midfield battler. You want your player to go in there and get involved and be able to stick up for himself. But I've seen him doing it several times. The infamous incident with Nick Walsh at Tannadice, which was poor from Nick Walsh, obviously, because he didn't connect. But Dio did try to slap the guy at the time. I've seen him try to slap Celtic players during, I don't know if it was a League Cup final or Scottish Cup final or whatever, but he's tried to slap players at Hampden, stuff like that as well. And it's needed sometimes, you know, because people were getting bullied off Celtic for a few seasons, and Diomande just doesn't take that kind of stuff, like scoring against them as well. He's right up for it. So I think a few people were feeling as if he sold the jerseys the other night, even though it was really late in the game. It's his second red card just in the group stage alone, Europa League this season. But I don't know. I felt as if I don't think Dio's done himself any favours. I think he knows what he's doing with his arm out there. Second yellow card. I can't even remember what the first yellow was. Sorry, I'm forgetting what the first yellow that he picked up was like. But he's a midfield battler. A few times he's been kind of liable, kind of negligent in the way he's conducting himself, picking up cheap cards in the midfield. It'll be interesting to see how Danny Röhl feels about it. And I don't know what happens with the fact that he's got 2 red cards in the one group stage now. Maybe no see him again in this competition until next season. But it ended up a draw, but I feel as if we controlled the game, and I really didn't control the game. We controlled what was going wrong at Rangers. Why we were just completely outplayed by Roma, a Roma team in the low gears, why we were destroyed by Bergen and going back before Danny Röhl's time. Why we were just an absolute aberration this season in Europe after the Pozenia game at home. I think we took that on board and just tried to find the one way we could actually do something against a Braga side who've been absolutely flying this season. I know they've been flying in the league, but we started that game the other night on 0 points in the group. That's our first avoidance of defeat in 8 straight European fixtures. And I don't know you can boo the team after the part there. I see that my podcast the other night was lacking in synchronicity. This one's lacking in any kind of structure or whatever. But I don't do it on purpose. But I seem to be out of sync with a lot of the Rangers support all the time. You're blaming Rangers fans again, Alec. Said nobody, because nobody pays me that much attention. But well, I am one, so I know what it's like. That I've got people. I've seen people who weren't even at the game, telling me I'm not being negative enough. Really, not telling me personally, but just telling me that I was not being negative. Number one, yeah, you didn't see me at the game. I was absolutely, I wasn't. I never got up and slag the shit out of Rangers loudly at a Rangers game, but I was very, very unhappy with what was going on at the time. The fact that we chucked it, I wasn't exactly celebrating in my post-match pod, was I? If you watch my post-match reaction pod. And number three, I'm getting heartily fucking sick of Rangers fans telling me I'm not being negative enough about Rangers. You need to wake up and see what's in front of you. Well, I obviously woke up to it a lot earlier than you. That's why I'm chuffed with a draw on Thursday, because I know how bad we are. We're 1-0 up against 10 men. Again, why is it surprising to you that we chucked away 2 points versus 10 men when you, Mr. Reality Bites or Mrs. School of Hard Knocks, are the very ones telling me how bad Rangers are? All season, that's all I've been hearing, how terrible Rangers are. And you're right, they absolutely are terrible just now. Is it no more the case that we did amazingly well to go 1-0 up versus 11 Braga players? That's why I'm praising Danny Röhl. But you're, pure raging. We did it the wrong way around. Boo-hoo. Wake up. But I wanted us to go down to 10 men. I wanted us to be the one that went down to 10 men, and then we equalised. Well, we didn't. Fucking grow up. That was our first point out of 15 in this group. And you're complaining because it wasn't wrapped up in a nice wee bow. Oh, princess. Oh, princess. Don't ever tell me that I'm living in Cloud Cuckoo Land. You're fucking Wayne. You're a child. You're a snowflake. I'm so tough, you woke lefty. I've had a hard life. Don't say global warming, say climate change, because I don't want to know. Don't blame Elon Musk. Don't tell me he's just a con man, businessman. I want to think he's a special scientist that I could become. I can't take it. Stop saying hurty words. Fucking snowflake. Wake up to the fact that Rangers have been absolutely garbage all season. You protested to get rid of these guys. The guys that bought that squad, the guys that accumulated, that destroyed our squad. And now you're slagging them because it didn't happen the right way round against Braga the other night. If we'd been 1-0 down, then we went down to 10 men, then we equalised. Absolutely brilliant, a great way to get on board. I can see that Danny Röhl's pushing it forward, but it happened the wrong way round. I don't want it to happen like that. Shut up! Nobody actually spoke to me like that at all. Nobody's told me that I'm not being negative enough. It's just I'm trying to get I think kind of getting over emotional and getting angry. That sells. That seems to be the way to go these days. And I can't be bothered waiting for another 2 years to get my next 500,000 views. I'm going to try. But it was Danny Röhl's first game in charge. It was against Bergen in the same competition, and he lost 3-0. We're all over the place. It wasn't on him, of course. His second Europa League game in charge. We lose 2-0 to Roma. We're never at the races, but what a containment thing going on there. And it wasn't Roma weren't up for it. They weren't up for going all out on us, but we took advantage of that to only get beat 2-0 at home to a Serie A challenger and a massive club after losing 3-0 to Norwegian non-entities. And his third Europa League game in charge, we're getting a point. We're getting a point. The fact that it wasn't, with a nice wee bow wrapped round about it, I don't really. You're a bit slap rapping and your cocaine tongue. You're getting hee-haw, fuck all, bugger all done, except making it harder for the team to perform. They need us. The guys responsible for what happened are gone. The guys responsible for the accumulation of dross in this squad, just ripping the heart out, ripping the competence out of that squad, they're gone. They get sacked. The last of them get sacked on Monday. We've got to get to January intact, and it's not going to help if we're booing the team after the pup. We've got to just get as many points on board as we possibly can. These guys are not going to get sold. There's got about 3 Rangers players that you saw the other night will survive the clear out, probably the clear out we're going to have in January, never mind the one we're going to have over the next few transfer windows. But apart from, it's also Alistair Lamont in the post-match presser. He was the same kind of line of questioning, very much. You chucked that, didn't you? You chucked that, didn't you? And I thought Danny Röhl handled it absolutely brilliant. He framed his question at Danny Röhl very much kind of, you chucked it. Did you actually see Nasser Giga? We're all losing my shit over how bad Nasser Giga was the other night. How he ends up giving away the goal, the equaliser, and nearly had a nervous breakdown as the game went on, Nasser Giga. But that's why it's so good that we managed to find a way. Played for 60 minutes. Well, maybe 80 minutes the next time we play in the Europa League, and by the time we have Ludogorets, Razgrad at home, a 90-minute performance, get some goals on board, get ourselves up that table, avoid the kind of... We're not trying to qualify now, that's long gone, but it's just avoiding the humiliation of finishing bottom of the group. We've already avoided the humiliation of finishing with 0 points. So, it's Falkirk, and the pumpkins have rotted, the fireworks are now damp squibs, and in keeping with the kind of the notion of quelled ordnance, the poppies have been stood down. It's now all about Christmas. It's just Christmas. We're just going for Christmas full on, and I love it. I love Christmas. It's just all about as much drinking as possible, as much eating as possible, as much relaxation as possible, as much football as possible. Rangers have got to find a way to get through this Christmas period, to get through December. We're the ones that want to miss out Christmas, the Rangers team. We need to get ourselves to the January sales with something still there to spend. Hearts have slipped up today on Saturday again, although I think a draw at Fir Park might come to be seen as a bit of a result before the season's at an end. And we've just got to get this. We've got Falkirk here, and Falkirk, right, I need to do my thing of set it up different. Falkirk, I've never seen Rangers at Inverness, You've never seen Rangers at Inverness? You've never seen Rangers at Inverness? I thought you told us you'd been to every league ground except Cove Rangers Balmoral Stadium. That is every league ground currently in Scotland in the 4 top divisions. You'd been to them all except but no. I said I wouldn't lie to you. I haven't been to Cove Rangers ground, but went to see Inverness against Falkirk. The only time I've been to Inverness's ground, to the Caledonian Stadium, they were playing Falkirk. And I was just, it was like 24, it's February 2000, 25 years, a quarter of a century ago. And I remember I was on a train with a bunch of Falkirk fans, but it was like a stag do golf club outing or something as well. It was all a bunch of, they were not quite middle class, but very sensible fellas, and they were all, I'd be just 30 at that point in time. These guys were all, I would say, like 40s, early 40s, all having a drink and that, but nothing wild, nothing crazy. And it just kind of reinforced my idea of Falkirk as just being this solid, kind of sensible. They're like a Hibs and Hearts. I know you've got other clubs in Edinburgh now, obviously, other league clubs in Edinburgh, but as I've said before, I feel as if Falkirk are just the kind of, with the 2 Scottish Cups. They beat, I must have mentioned this, I probably mentioned this the last time, I'm sorry, but they beat Raith Rovers in the Scottish Cup final in 1912, and they lost in the 40s to East Fife in the League Cup final. So the whole thing with Falkirk and teams for Fife, that whole kind of rivalry they've got, it's quite weird that the 2 major cup finals, one lost and one won against Fifers. I just don't know been to many cup finals, Falkirk, so it's a big thing for them. But they beat Dundee United 3-0. Last week, they beat Dundee United 3-0 at Tannadice, but I think I watched that game and the Dundee United goalkeeper punched one of them into the net. The Dundee United defence was terrible, so we'll be. There's no way we'll let that happen, is it? There's no. Their defence is absolutely fine. I've been the only time I was with. They won 3-0 that day. Falkirk. I was just getting all the stadiums off my list. I'd had a lot of Saturday jobs because I was basically still kind of in student land financially anyway. But I'd had a lot of kind of Saturday jobs, so I'd got myself a proper kind of 9-to-5 job, and Monday to Friday, and I was using the opportunity to just go and see every football ground in Scotland that I hadn't been to. Something that I might not get to be Rangers because we're always going to be in the top division, but little did I know that was going to be, 15 years later, that'd be the Scottish Cup final. Falkirk against Inverness, Caledonian Thistle, but they've played a game less than us, Falkirk, just now. They are 2 points behind us in 6th place. A win tomorrow puts them above us. John McGlynn, the manager, he's taken them up twice. This is 2 straight promotions. 2023-2024, 10 years after we did it, they won League One without losing a game, but unlike ourselves, who spent an extra season in the Championship just to get ourselves ready, to hit the top flight in winning style, Falkirk went straight up. Last season they won the Championship as well, so it's 2 straight promotions under John McGlynn, who's CANNAE experienced, an absolute gentleman as well. His post-match interview after the draw, it was a better result for him maybe, but probably a lot of Falkirk fans is angry back in the beginning of October when Falkirk could only draw with Russell Martin's Rangers despite dominating the game against us. Probably much the same. They're feeling the same way as a lot of our supporters felt about us drawn with Braga the other night. It was there for the taking, but John McGlynn, very nice about what Rangers did do that day. The goal we scored while Russell Martin was just being as disrespectful and basically downright insane. And if there's a breakdown, his post-match reaction that day, his post-match interviews on Sky were embarrassing. It was absolutely embarrassing, and it was obviously that was the day that we realised he's got to go. I think everybody had realised he shouldn't be here at all, and most people wanted rid of him as soon as things started to go wrong for him, which was basically the day he arrived, Russell Martin. But I think it was Falk. That was the day. Like 10 minutes in against Falkirk, the last time we played the Bairns in the league this season, it was, this isn't working. The players aren't up for it. They're not learning. It's not going to get any better. We've had the 2-3 months of them all getting used to his system or whatever like that. I don't think he's even imposing his own system anymore. It was just an awful day. He ends up having to walk across the pitch because the Union Bears are hounding the team bus and stuff like that. He has to get another car out of place, police escort. That was the last we saw of Russell Martin. Falkirk, they just try to avoid relegation in the first season up in the top flight, but I'm going to turn off the oven. I'll turn off the oven now for the chicken. I'm just going to a wee quick look. Does that? Aye, that looks ready. So there's not much longer to go with the podcast here. That looks absolutely ready. Specs still. Bit of steam coming out there, 170 degrees. I'll turn the actual oven off. I've only turned down the temperature there. I've just, God's sake, it's like I've never done this before. I might even lift it out the oven while I'm here. You're getting a wee insight into what it's like in my house on a Saturday night. Absolutely scintillating. Oh, that's looking good. Oh, can you smell that? Oh, yeah. Nice bit of chicken. That's going to get done in about 5 minutes straight. So, League Cup this season, they're only trying to avoid relegation, probably, but they're up in the top half of the league right now. They'll probably feel a bit aggrieved they didn't do as in the previous league meeting this season. In their League Cup group stage, the only tie they didn't win straight out was a penalties win over Cove Rangers at the Balmoral Stadium. How about that? The coincidences. In fact, Cove Rangers and Falkirk, that was the two, beating them 4-0, beating Cove Rangers 4-0, beating Falkirk 4-0. That was our first tie in each of the cup competitions, domestic cup competitions during 55 season. We beat some other wee team before we eventually went out to big teams like St Johnstone and St Mirren. But that was a wee coincidence there as well. But they get done by Celtic, Falkirk, in the knockout rounds of the League Cup. Scott Arfield returns tomorrow, Mr. Saturday Night. An absolute god, just a god. Scored for us in the Scottish Cup semi-final, scored for us in the League Cup semi-final. He's scored goals at Hampden, scored against Celtic at Ibrox and stuff. Just and a great guy as well. He's a Falkirk legend, quite rightly, and he's a Rangers legend, quite rightly, and nobody's going to have a bad thing to say about Scott Arfield, even if he's maybe getting a start or whatever tomorrow. They've got Brian Graham as well, 38-year-old who they got for Partick Thistle. His career seemed consigned to the lower leagues, but no, that's been a great signing. John McGlynn, Hearts, Wraith Rovers, he knows what he's doing, John McGlynn. If we're not for this, they'll be on as Brian Graham scored the third goal. He was lucky to get a red card last week in their game at Tannadice. They've had the week off. How Falkirk, we've had a quite intense week. 3 games in 8 days for us is now segueing into 3 league games in 6.5 days. Hearts have dropped points. We can get to within 4 points of the Jambos if we're to win our 2 games in hand we currently have over them, but we're so weak. We're so weak of squad and injuries and a hard game on Thursday. So Falkirk have had a free week. They played us off the park back on the 5th of October, and they should have won, but they finished off Russell Martin, and they'll seize any chance we present them with tomorrow. The only question, I think, for the team selection is what we're going to do about centre-half. Is Dujon Sterling coming back? Danny Röhl doesn't sound too keen on the idea of rushing Dujon Sterling back into first-team action when he's been out for so long. Very German kind of attitude towards it, I would say, but we've got no suitor who's had his own moments, as I said, Derek Cornelius, but we've got no suitor, no Cornelius. The Mikey Moore thing, I think the Mikey Moore thing might be being slightly overstated. It's just part of the whole kind of general first choice players are they making the squad, are injured. It's been put together to make it a crisis, but he was only just coming on to a game, but he was coming on to a game under Danny Röhl, because Russell Martin had no idea what to do with Mikey Moore. He didn't. I don't want to get too kind of upset with the Mikey Moore thing, because we hadn't got used to him actually being that good. It's just he would have to score the goal and have another one chopped off, be hitting bang on form before he get injured. But I think the big question is whether we persist with Nasser Jiga. The big man was shattered the other night. It led to the kind of he's caught completely under the ball at the shy, which they quickly volleyed over the top of our defence. It was an absolute nightmare for him, and his head went, because there's a bit just in the dying minutes of normal time into the first few minutes of injury time where he gives the ball away. We're playing the ball out from the back. Braga are just sitting back almost within their own half, and he plays the ball straight to a Braga player, and we're under pressure straight away. And then Jack Butland is having to say it was the wind, and it was the wind. He couldn't quite handle it. He did clear the corner, but he didn't handle it very well. Should probably have caught the ball. And just after that, we get Diamandi gets sent off. So it does spread. It spreads the complete mental breakdown. It spreads the nervousness. It spreads the inability to cope with the basics of a game if your centre half is just having an absolute nightmare. So I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know what the options are. I don't see Inciala as an option at all. I don't see why that. It's only because he's not playing for us. I think that he's suddenly become a better player. But I maybe have Tav get into centre half. If Max Aarons is recovered from his knock the other night, we can get Aarons and Magoma on at full-back positions. Maybe have Tav at centre-half alongside big Manny Fernandez, who's starting to have he did well the other night, but I think it's because we've got no defence. My point about the other night, Braga, is that we have no defence. Right? So we have no attack. And our midfield is totally mediocre, yet Danny Röhl, Nico Raskin, our best midfielder, is having a terrible season. Or a really bland season, an underwhelming season at best. And Danny Röhl has managed to go up against Braga, who are one tasty outfit. It's like if Braga had come out and put 3 goals past us, we could have appreciated how good they were. But because we completely stopped them being in any way good, because we checked them, that somehow works against Rangers. That's just proof that we should have beaten them. To do what we did the other night, to get a point out of that game when we have got nothing. Just nothing going on. I thought it was absolute genius. So I don't know what he's going to do tomorrow. Maybe he's going to get Tav into centre half alongside Fernandez. I'm going to say he's going to play Dujon Sterling. He's going to take the chance. I would have rather Dujon Sterling had maybe come on as a sub with a stronger Rangers team, having maybe going 3-0 up at half time. Oh, you dreamer, Alec, you dreamer. But it's not going to happen. So I'm going to go just to cut straight to it, because I can smell my chicken and you can tell it's completely distracting me. Jack Butland in goals. It's 4-2-3-1. Jack Butland in goals. Tav at right back. Magoma at left back. It's going to be Dujon Sterling and Fernandez as our centre halves. Raskin and Barron in the midfield, kind of sitting 2. And I think we'll have Dio again at number 10. He's not suspended for this, is he? No. We're going to have Dio again at number 10. And I think it'll be Asgard is going to start on the left-hand side and Gassama on the right. And I would just go for Majovski. It's a toss of a coin as to which one of our strikers is going to play up front. Maybe he loves Chermiti so much he's going to go with Chermiti again. Just as some kind of, it's an out ball. Perhaps we need an out ball. Our defence is so bad. You just launch it forward and he might make something happen, but he's really struggling, big Chermiti. I thought he did well by his own standards the other night. That says it all, really. But he's struggling to be in any way properly effective. But that's what Danny Röhl does. He takes individual players who aren't very effective, and he creates something better out of the whole. So that's my team: 4-2-3-1. Butland, Tav, Sterling, Fernandes, Magoma. Raskin and Barron is a sitting 2. Gassama, Dio, and Asgard is a 3, and Majovski up front. But I have a funny feeling he's looking at rotation with the schedule of games we're in the middle of, and it's not going to get any easier for a while. I think Danny Röhl wants to rotate, and he's going to rest somebody major, and we don't have many major players this season. I think it could be Jack Butland. I think we could see Liam Kelly getting a run out tomorrow. I think it could be Tav, it could be Raskin, it could be Gassama. Gassama's probably most likely. Maybe Antman's going to get another. We're going to persist with him for some reason. But out of this team that I've picked, and I'm only just guessing what I think the manager's going to do, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the team I would prefer us to put out there. Somebody's probably going to be rested, somebody major, but we're going to win 3-2. The only thing that bothers me, and of course superstition dominates everything as far as I'm concerned, Danny Röhl has got his first Europa League point. We'd just like to think if he finally drops his first SPFL Premiership points, karma, yin-yang, balance, whatever. Heat, we've not talked about Michael Mann's Heat, my favourite film, LA Crime Saga. I've gone over the hour mark, I can't believe this. The game's kicking off in 2 minutes, and I've just... Sorry, troops. But they kill... The reason our hero, there's an anti-hero, Robert De Niro's character, Neil McCauley, the reason he doesn't make it, the reason a couple of his crew don't make it either to the end of the film, is because they do get rid of, they do kill Van Zandt, they do kill Wayne Grow, but it's too late. They don't do them in time. And Hugh Benny, he just ends up going to jail, and he's working as a criminal informant. You know, it's Henry Rollins' character. The bad guys, they get them eventually, but they don't get them in time. And that just lets us think, we've got them in time. We've done away with, I don't know what ones they are. It's probably, we've done away with Russell Martin and with Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart, while there's still over half of the film to go in terms of the league. So, you know, it's you never fancied a regular type life. What the fuck is that? Barbecues and ball games? No, it's roast chicken and the Rangers against Falkirk on Sunday. I'll talk to you after it, Trips.